Hey, welcome back to my channel. Now that Christmas is over, we've all unwrapped our presents and we've all eaten way too much food. I'm going to do my spoiler review for The Rise of Skywalker. I saw this on Monday evening with my son, who just turned 8 years old, with a couple friends of ours, and we did an initial reaction video right out of the theater. My son absolutely loved it. He had a blast. I enjoyed it myself. Not as much as him, but I enjoyed it. And after a couple days of reflecting on it and thinking about it, I had some more thoughts, so I figured, well, I'm going to do a spoiler review so we could talk about some things. Now, I'm going to take us back to a magical time when it was announced that George Lucas was going to make the prequels. I'm setting this up for what Disney has done with this trilogy of films. Everybody's excited. Star Wars is coming back for a new generation. We're going to see how Anakin's going to become Darth Vader. It was a very exciting time. Samuel L. Jackson was cast as a Jedi Knight, Mace Windu. They had Liam Neeson in there, Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was a very exciting time. Then, for me, this is my opinion. I can't speak for all, but I know a lot of people who feel the same way. The Phantom Menace was unleashed upon us, and it's terrible. I don't like that movie. I don't like 90% of that movie. I like the last half hour. That's about it. Attack of the Clones came out, hoping to be better. I actually disliked Attack of the Clones more than Phantom Menace. Then the big one, everybody's waiting for. Couldn't wait to see it. Saw it in the movie theaters with my friends. Revenge of the Sith. That one, I can watch. Is it as good as the original 3 movies? No. But I can watch Revenge of the Sith and have a good time with it. Now, I don't want to take that away from George Lucas. George Lucas is a genius. He gave us Star Wars. It's endured all these years, and it'll endure for a long, long, long time. So, and he gave us Indiana Jones along with Steven Spielberg. So, the man is a legend. Rightfully so. Nobody can ever take that away from him. Unfortunately, with the prequels, George Lucas became a slave to CGI. There's no other way to describe it. And either he forgot how to direct actors, or he was so worried with the effects that he just didn't really give too much direction to the actors. I don't know which one it was. I have no idea. But I do not like the prequels. I can watch Revenge of the Sith. That's about it. I haven't rewatched them in years. I haven't shown them to my son. My son has seen the original trilogy, The Force Awakens, and The Last Jedi, and now Rise of Skywalker. I don't know if I could sit through the prequels. Revenge of the Sith I could, I know that. But I don't know if I could sit through The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. I don't know. And just to be a little upfront, I've never watched the cartoons except for the Lego Star Wars, and I've never read any of the books that were released. This is just purely on the movies by themselves. So yeah, the prequels I've never liked, but I will give George Lucas one thing. He had a plan for all 3 movies, and he stuck to that plan. It's a beautiful thing. Even though for me it didn't work, for some people it did, he had a plan. Which brings us to the Disney trilogy. When it was announced Disney had bought the rights off of George Lucas, and that they had hired J.J. Abrams to come in to direct this new Star Wars film, which was going to introduce its new characters and the old, specifically Luke Skywalker, Leia, and Han Solo, and Chewie, and subsequently R2-D2 and C-3PO. I was excited. I like J.J. Abrams as a director, and it would be good to have fun to have Star Wars back. And they said that they were going to use less CGI, more people in costumes and real sets, and they're going to cut back on the CGI use, which is great. CGI, like the effects in the prequels looks terrible. By today's standards, you watch those movies, even back then I didn't like them, but now those effects look god-awful. I'm sorry, CGI is not the be-all, end-all. It shouldn't be the be-all, end-all of your movie. I know technology's come a long way, but a movie like Star Wars doesn't need all that CGI. CGI to help it along, fine. But there's my rant on CGI. George Lucas overused it in the prequels, way overused it, and he made good actors look awful, and just the movies look flat. They're not exciting. I'm sorry if you like those movies. I'm not trying to insult you. I just did not like those movies. So J.J. Abrams comes along, introduces us to Rey, played by Daisy Ridley, Finn, played by John Boyega, and Poe, played by Oscar Isaacs. And we brought, well, Luke's not much, really not hardly in Force Awakens, but he brought back Harrison Ford as Han Solo, Chewie, Leia. And I liked that movie. I thought J.J. Abrams did a good job of bringing Star Wars back while giving us the old characters, introduced some new characters that I liked, giving us a new threat in the First Order with basically a new Emperor and Snoke and a new Darth Vader and Kylo Ren, which we come to find out is Han and Leia's son, which would make him Darth Vader's grandson. So it all makes sense. It's all good. I enjoyed that first movie a lot. Then we get Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi, which I do not hate. I can understand, though, why people hate that movie. I absolutely can understand. I can see it. And I have a lot of problems with it. J.J. Abrams did set up some things in The Force Awakens to give the next filmmaker some places to go. And Rian Johnson pretty much gave the middle finger to those things. Now, Finn in The Force Awakens was a stormtrooper who decided he didn't want to do that anymore, which is very interesting. He had a big role. He meets Rey and Poe and becomes part of the Resistance. In The Last Jedi, Finn has nothing to do. He's kind of portrayed as a coward, kind of. And then he goes on this trip to this casino planet with Rose that's a complete waste of time and has nothing really to do with the movie. They could have cut that whole sequence out and it wouldn't have affected the movie one bit. And Finn's just kind of just negated to a background character. His character means nothing. The only thing that it sets up is he gets to battle Phasma at the end. And that's it. And then they kill Snoke off really easily, considering they built him up to be pretty much the new Emperor. Kylo Ren kills him pretty easily, without much fuss. And it's like, okay, you just killed off the main bad guy who was introduced in the first movie. Okay, where do we go? And then the whole Leia getting blown out in outer space and then being brought back on the ship and living. I always hated that decision. I didn't want to see Leia die like that, but if you're going to do it, stick with your guns. Send her off, give her a nice military funeral, make it a big thing of it. Because as we know, after the movie was done filming, sadly, Carrie Fisher had passed away. Now, they didn't know that at the time, so when they brought her back, they thought she'd be alive to do the third movie. But she was not, sadly. And then, they kill off Harrison Ford in the first movie, which I wouldn't have done, but I was okay with. But then, Rey's all of a sudden is all-powerful, which they don't explain at all. It's just all of a sudden she's all-powerful. She can do all this stuff that Luke couldn't even do by the Return of the Jedi. And Luke was supposed to be the best Jedi around now because there was nobody else. But all of a sudden Rey knows all these things. Now, obviously, you find things out in the new movie, which I'll get into. But so Rian Johnson did a lot of damage with The Last Jedi. The movie looks great. There's some great action scenes. But it just told you how much they did not have a plan for this trilogy at all. And they just kind of let Rian Johnson do whatever. And I'm all for giving filmmakers total freedom, total creative control. But he screwed the pooch a lot in that movie. Like I said, I could watch it. I don't hate it. And I just watched it recently again, just to prepare for The Rise of Skywalker. But he basically gave a middle finger to some of the things J.J. Abrams set up in the first one. So we start off in The Rise of Skywalker. Kylo Ren has created his band of knights that follow him, and he's going from planet to planet, killing tons of people to try to snuff out the Resistance and find Rey. While he's on this one planet, he hears the Emperor's voice calling him to come to this planet. They need to talk. So Finn takes off, planning on killing the Emperor because now he's the supreme leader, and he doesn't want the Emperor usurping his power. And he goes, and the Emperor talks to him and convinces him that he'll give him a whole fleet of Star Destroyers if he does what he wants. And he'll be able to rule the galaxy. All of a sudden, these Star Destroyers just rise up from underneath the planet. All these years, they've just been sitting there waiting. And the Emperor kind of says he's been the one pulling the strings the whole time, and Snoke was like a clone or whatever to him. But everything was coming from him this whole time. Now, when they first announced the Emperor was coming back in the trailer, they gave it away the first trailer. I liked it. I was excited. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, okay, we made a whole prequel around Anakin Skywalker. He was the chosen one. He became Darth Vader, one of the best bad guys of all time on film. Okay? We had this arc with Anakin where he goes from this little boy to a Jedi Knight, or to a Jedi, to being Darth Vader because of the Emperor, or Palpatine. And Return of the Jedi, he realizes the error in his ways when his son's about to be destroyed, and he does the right thing, and he kills the Emperor, knowing he's going to die. But he saves his son. And at the end, he becomes one with the Force. That's why, well, in the re-release versions of the Return of the Jedi, you see Anakin Skywalker at the end of the movie where they show Yoda, Obi-Wan, and then they show Anakin. So Darth Vader made this grand sacrifice to save his son so he could live on. And it's undone like that. Now, I understand JJ had a tough spot. Snoke's been killed off. He was supposed to be the main bad guy, which I could see was probably meant to go to 3 movies. And Rian Johnson basically said, well, the hell with that. I'm going to kill him in the 2nd movie. Well, now we need a big bad guy, and it can't be Kylo Ren. So we brought the Emperor back, which is and then they tie Rey to Palpatine in a Hail Mary attempt to intertwine everything. Yes, she's his granddaughter, as they let you know who her parents were. One of her parents were Palpatine's child, and they had a kid, and they ran away to this planet and dumped her there because they didn't want Palpatine finding out. And then Palpatine has them killed. Well, in Rian Johnson's movie, we're led to believe that she's just nobody. She's just a scavenger, which you know she couldn't have been with the power she has. So she ends up being a Palpatine, which would explain why she went so easily to the dark side in The Last Jedi when Luke was training her. So they tie Palpatine to Rey, and he wants her dead because he knows that she's one of the only people that can destroy him. So Kylo leaves and takes the ships and goes to try to find Rey, but he doesn't want to kill her. He wants to join forces with her and go back and kill the Emperor because he wants to remain in power. And at this point, we're seeing that Huxley, the leader of the First Order, is relegated to a secondary character named a new leader. And he ends up being a spy for the Resistance because he wants to see Kylo Ren fail. Not because he wants them to win, but because he doesn't want to listen to Kylo Ren anymore. And then he gets killed unceremoniously right after that, after they find out. And then an object is introduced to tell you where this device is so Rey can go find the Emperor and kill him. And they go to a planet, and they discover this one Jedi was trying to hide it. They find his ship, and they go on this little adventure. And then Chewie gets captured by stormtroopers. And he's being taken away. And Rey's fighting Kylo Ren, because he had shown up. And she's holding the ship there, which is brand new with the Force. Although I guess it's kind of explained when you find out that she's Palpatine's granddaughter. She might have some of the Emperor's powers as well, which is shown in the sequence. She's holding the ship there, and then she has a burst of something happens, and then lightning bolts shoot out of her fingers, and the ship blows up, and we think Chewie died. Which is, I'm fine with that, but not even 2 minutes later, they could have held that till later in the movie. 2 minutes later, they show, no, Chewie's alive. On this other ship. She thought he was on that ship, but he was on a different ship. Why don't you hold that till later in the movie? It would have been better surprise later. Oh, Chewie's still alive, yay! But no, they give that away right away, which I don't know why, but they did. I will say this, and at the end, as it goes on, there's some nice moments when Leia dies. They reuse some footage they'd shot previous. Well, the other thing I didn't like was Leia's training Rey. Now, Leia was never a Jedi, but she's training Rey as a Jedi. I don't know. I didn't like that part. But so Leia passes away. At the same moment, Rey and Kylo are having a fight on what's left of the Death Star, because they had to go to the Death Star to find this device so Rey can find the Emperor. And they're fighting, and as Princess Leia is dying, or General Leia is dying, Rey stabs Kylo in the chest with her lightsaber. And he dies. Rey, feeling sorry that she killed him, brings him back to life. She heals him, which never came up ever in any other Star Wars movie. But now she can heal people. And I guess they kind of try to explain this because she's granddaughter of Palpatine, so she might have some of the Emperor's powers, which we don't know everything about his powers. Kylo comes back to life. Rey takes off. Kylo sees Han Solo in a nice moment. Love this moment. I love Adam Driver in this movie too. I think he's great. All the actors are great. That's not the actors, and they kind of say they're, Han kind of gives him a pep talk, and he throws his lightsaber into the ocean, and he follows Rey. Rey, realizing that she might be bad, goes to the planet Luke was exiled himself on, and she burns the ship she took there, and she throws the lightsaber into the fire. Luke appears as Ghost Luke and pulls the lightsaber out and says to her, "This deserves a lot more respect." And he tells her that if she plans on hiding her, don't be like him. He made a mistake. And he gives her a pep talk, and then he raises his X-wing out of the ocean that we saw in the last movie, and she flies to go find Palpatine. I'm fine with that. Whatever. I think they waited too long to show Luke, but whatever. He's in it for a little bit. She goes out to fight Palpatine. Kylo Ren finds out about this, and he takes off to go where Palpatine is. And at this time, Poe and Finn decide we're going to all-out strike on where Palpatine is. We got to destroy all these Star Destroyers. So they go. Rey and Kylo go up to have it out with the Emperor. And the Emperor looks cool, and then he takes their life force from them to heal himself, and he kind of looks like he did in Return of the Jedi. Kylo gets thrown down this hole. And then Rey gets up and tries to fight Palpatine. She gets knocked out. Or no, she kills Palpatine. She takes two lightsabers and the lightning bolts out of the fingers. And she sends it back at him and she kills him. And she dies. Well, Kylo Ren climbs up out of the hole, finds her, and brings her back to life. Just as he does that, they embrace and they kiss, which is very awkward, and then he dies. The First Order is destroyed. The Resistance is won. Rey takes off to Luke's original home that we saw in The New Hope. Buries two lightsabers, Luke's and the other one, and then they show her with the new one she had created. And it basically ends with this woman coming by asking her who she is. And she goes, "I'm Rey." She sees Luke and Leia off in the distance and says, "I'm Rey Skywalker." And the camera pans back behind her, shows her looking at the sun, and that's it. The movie's over. Now, again, the Emperor coming back, I'm not a big fan of it. He looks cool. It's nice seeing him, but the whole let's negate what Darth Vader did in Return of the Jedi, I don't like when movies do that later. Something that happened, somebody made a huge sacrifice, and now we're just going to say, that doesn't matter. Now, I do pay tribute to Darth Vader. They show his helmet a bunch of times, and they talk about him a little bit. But I don't like that. But I see where J.J. Abrams' hands were tied. Snoke's gone. He should have been the main bad guy for the third one to destroy. He's gone now, and he needs something, so they brought the Emperor back. That's where it gets a little sloppy. But there's so much in this movie, it should have been 2 movies. They should have made a 4th movie. There's so much crammed into 2 hours and 20 minutes. And the movie just goes from one place to the next. It's like a scavenger hunt a little bit. And then they got to defeat the Emperor. And it's like the Emperor's been around this whole time. Nobody's noticed. And he's building this fleet of Star Destroyers. Nobody knew. It's just... And Lando's back, and that's nice. Seeing him and Chewie in the Falcon together. I enjoyed the movie. There's some fun parts. I don't hate it. I can see why some people have a problem with it. No doubt. If I was going to rate it, thinking on it now, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. I had fun. There's some rousing action moments. There's definitely a lot of fan service. And JJ tries to fix a lot of the things that people had problems with The Last Jedi. But there's also a lot of problems. It's not perfect. Like I said in my first reaction, to me, The Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie we've ever gotten. And now with this complete, it's still the best Star Wars movie we've ever gotten. But I'm not going to take away from it's beautifully shot. The action's exciting. There's some cool lightsaber battles. There's some cool space battles. And so there's some terrific imagery. I cannot take that away from J.J. Abrams. He had a tough job coming back and trying to fix some of the problems with Rian Johnson's movie. Again, I don't hate The Last Jedi, but the more I watch it, the less I like it, for sure. I just recently rewatched it, and there's parts of it's like, what? But even in Rise of Skywalker, there's some moments in the theater where I almost blurted out. I didn't, but WTF. I almost said it, right, out loud a few times. I'm like, what? There's some mind-boggling things in there if you're a fan, if you've been watching from the first movie. But I give it a 7 out of 10. If you're a Star Wars fan, I recommend checking it out. Make your own mind up. There's a lot of chatter out there on YouTube and online. Go see it. Make a decision for yourself. I highly recommend checking it out. It's definitely worth paying to see it in the theaters. There's enough big moments that should be saw on the big screen. But it's not perfect, although I do prefer this. It's definitely a step up from The Last Jedi. So that's it for me. I ranted long enough about some of my problems with it, but I didn't hate it. Like I said, I enjoyed it. If you like this video, hit the subscribe down below. If you've seen the movie, tell me what you thought of it in the comments down below. We can have a discussion about it. I'm not going to chew your head off if you loved it. I enjoyed it. I just didn't love it. And that's it for me. Have a great day, and I'll see you later.